Hey guys, this is Chrome. Welcome to Promo Look At. These are basically videos that I do for tabletop gaming. Without further ado, today's promo we're going to be looking at is for Dead of Winter, a crossroads game. And the promo we're going to be looking at is the BGG promo crossroad cards, which are basically 5 promo cards. Now, without saying anything, I'm going to basically spoil them. So if you don't want to be spoiled on what these cards do, then just skip to the end to where I start saying recommendations, whether you should get them or not. But I will say one thing about these. These are all basically fan-made promo cards that were made by people from the BGG. So I actually like that. That's pretty cool. So, and they were officially printed and distributed by BGG. So I'm going to begin off with the first one. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you can skip to the end of the video. But here we go. Denzil Dilemma. So if a survivor in the player controls is at the colony, so basically right there, and there are one or more helpless survivors at the colony. So I got helpless survivors right here. A devastated young woman limps to the doors of the colony. Please, she calls weakly. Her jacket tattered and her wrists are bruised and rope burned. She falls limp against the door. Sobs wreck her body. Option 1. So basically it's a woman who is just basically kind of tormented and tortured from the sounds of it. So option 1, you step outside and help her to her feet. She looks at you with gratitude and begins to tell you a disturbing tale that is interrupted when she glances over your shoulder. She pushes you away from you. You're with them. She accuses you. She points at an injured member of your colony and says, he was the one who hurt me. You turn towards the accused man, placing yourself between him and her. The man's eyes fill with fear. She's lying. I've never seen her before. His words lose importance as you feel a blade at your throat. You men are all the same, always looking to rescue the damsel. Idiots. Put the food in the bag. Remove all the food from the supply. So basically, if you choose option 1, everything you basically have here, the food supply, is basically gone. So, that's not a good option to choose from the looks of it. And then there's option 2. Leave her outside. Some of the other survivors, stunned by your interactions, lose 1 morale. So you can either lose morale or lose the food. In my opinion, I'd rather lose the morale, unless you're a trader and you might like this a little more, because if with a trader, you basically say, okay, well, morale or food. So I'll start. I'm gonna basically rank them here. So this is by far my least favorite from the looks of it. So I'm gonna leave it right there. The other colony. If there are more survivors in play in the survivor deck. So basically the survivor deck is this one. Food is growing scarce. Winter is becoming harsh. People are getting desperate. One of the colony's scouting parties returns with an interesting discovery and a grisly proposition. A ragtag group of survivors was spotted in it. Tumble down shelter on the outskirts of town. They appear weak and disorganized. The following choices belongs to the player whose leader has the highest influence. So I'm going to just say Bobby and Jenny over here. And Bobby, basically, this is the card for Bobby because I just drew it and I read it. And then all of a sudden we have Jenny over here who has the character with the highest influence. So basically, I'll say she has Mr. 57 over here, and Bobby over here had 42. So basically, Jenny basically takes the options of choosing this, of what's going to happen. So with option number 1, resort to the unthinkable. Remove the entire survivor deck from the game and add 2 food to supplies, lose 2 morale. So we lose 2 morale for this. And basically the whole character deck is gone. And then we add 10 of these little food supplies to our bank over here. So it might help us, but losing morale might hurt us. But the thing is, here is basically the survivor deck for the game, just for the regular crossroads. So basically what you're seeing here over here for these 2 is basically, these are my promos, and these are basically one colony. So if I were to add all of this together, basically the deck is becoming even bigger. So the chances of you seeing this will probably be more like if this many characters were outside, and then this many deck of the cards were out, or like this many. So seeing this will be kind of very tough to see. So let's see what option 2 is. Safety in numbers. Distribute all the survivors in the survivor deck among the players. Place a wound token on each survivor that is dealt. So basically, let's just say if it was like this, then basically we will get these decks, and then we basically distribute the survivors amongst all of us, and then all of a sudden equally. So if it was like there was like 10 and there were 5 of us, we all get more characters, and then we place wound tokens on them. And when we place wound tokens, after that, then we'll get extra dice to roll. So we get 2 for every character, or however many characters we get, because it has to be distributed equally. So that's actually very good, because the more dice, the more we're going to be able to basically say, hey, guess what? We get more turns. We get to do more actions. So that's good. I really like option 2 from the sounds of it. So then there's option 3. They won't last until winter, but there's a simply no way to accommodate them. Let them be for the remainder of the game. At the end of each player's turn, remove from the game the top 2 cards of the survivor deck. So basically we have 3 options with this. We can either remove the deck completely and add food supplies, or we can start removing. Bobby just went, remove 2 cards, and Jenny goes, remove another 2 cards, and Drea goes, remove 2 cards, and I go, and then I have to remove another 2 survivor deck cards. So basically, we're going to see the survivor deck thin out. So basically, if we draw an outsider, help to basically add a new character, we can, if the deck runs out. So that's going to be something that's going to be very punishing. So I would think everybody would want to choose option 2, unless they choose option 1, where we lose the 2 morale. But it's a very interesting one with 3 good options. So right now, this is going to be my favorite, because this is not my favorite. So I'm going to leave like that. So the next one we have is board games. If the player performs a search with a survivor at the school or library. So basically the library or the school. Hey guys, look what I found. Let's take these games back home. Seems perfect to line up these long nights, silent evenings, I say. Anybody in the game for Monopoly? You take the board game, so option 1. So basically you find board games and you take them, and that's basically what option 1 is. You take the board games to the colony, roll a die. So we're going to roll this one, because it's not the exposure die. On a result of 3 or higher, everyone has fun, relaxing time while playing a few games. Gain 1 morale. On a result of 2 or lower, tensions are rising as dominant personalities argue about the rules and sore losers point. Things quickly get out of hand. When someone gets accused of cheating, lose 1 morale. So basically, we're going to roll this die. In this case, we lose a morale. But if we were to roll this 6 right here, then we basically gain a morale, and everybody had a good time. So it's basically a double-edged sword. So it's a 6-sided die. So there's two out of a six chance that we will get a negative result, and there's 4 chances out of 6 results that we can get a good choice. So it is a double-edged sword for option 1, but it seems pretty good for that, because we can either lose morale or gain morale. So option 2 is you leave the games where you found them and nothing happens. So you could choose to do nothing about it. So I'm going to say this is my 3rd favorite. So basically that's how the ranking I'm going to give is for now. So 4th wall. If the survivor the player controls is at the colony and there are more than 1 helpless survivors in the colony. So here's my helpless survivors, and there's more than 1, and there's a survivor in the colony. So basically, Wilson's conspiracy theories are starting to become annoying. His latest one is even crazier than the rest. Hey man, do you ever feel like we're all just pieces belonging moved around in some game? If only we could change the rules or find a way out, man. I just added the man. So basically, this guy sounds like he's on drugs. And he's telling some crazy conspiracy stories. So basically, you have 2 options with this. Option 1 is you sit and listen, and it starts to make sense. Wilson is right. The zombies, your followers, fellow survivors, the supplies you've been finding. It's if everything follows a set of rules. Hell, even venturing outside is like rolling a die to survive. For the remainder of the game, after removing a survivor you control and rolling for exposure, you may set the exposure die to a face value of your choosing. So basically, if I were to move this girl over here, I don't have to roll this, even though I got lucky with getting nothing. But if I were to roll, come on, give me something. All right. So if I roll a wound token, I basically have to accept that wound for that person. But if I get a frostbite, I have to accept it because that's what's happening. And if I get bitten on my venture to the colony or to another location, I die, and then the infection spreads. So it's like, oh man, this sucks, because I don't want to roll this. Like, nobody ever wants to roll this. But the thing is, this changes it. So option 1 is amazing from the sounds of it, because if I have to move, I'm always going to choose nothing happens to me. So, and it's only going to be for that one character who gets it. So whoever gets this crossroad, I'm going to say it was Jenny, Bobby basically had in his hand, and the recommendation happens, guess what? They're going to basically obviously choose option 1. So option 2, crazy fool, you mutter to yourself as you walk away. The next morning, Wilson is nowhere to be seen. Was he right? Did he actually escape from the game, or did he just wander off and get bitten? Either way, things are a lot quieter around here. Now gain 1 morale and remove 1 helpless survivor from the colony. So basically, this guy goes bye-bye, and then you gain 1 morale. So that's actually pretty cool to think about. You can choose that, but normally somebody who's the trader is probably going to choose that option 2, because let's just say they're going to probably want to get that rolling, a bitten, a frostbite, or a wound, because their characters start dying, then morale starts going down. So I don't know, this one's a bit tricky on who will want it, but as far as I see it, it's really good for option 1. So that by far is my favorite now. So Sherlock is the next one. If the player performs a search with a survivor at the library. So the library, and I'm going to say I perform a search, which is basically like that. As you go down the aisles of books, you jump as your light shines on two yellow eyes, purring through the shelves. You reach it for your weapon when suddenly the eyes jump down from the shelf and sprint to the end of the aisle. You can see the creature clearly now. It's Sherlock, the library cat. So basically, you found a cat. So that's pretty cool. So basically, option 1 is you bet he will come if you offered him tuna. Players may collectively remove 1 food card from the game to equip Sherlock to the survivor who performed the search. At the beginning of the colony phase, if Sherlock is at the colony, he keeps the mice out of the food. Add 1 food to the supply. If Sherlock and Sparky are ever share a location, move the card from the game. So basically, you add it to the character, just like how you're seeing here. If I was in the colony and Sparky was there, or if I was in any other location with Sparky, basically we lose this card. But let's just say it was like this, how I see it right now, and I equip it to this character. Basically, every turn, we're going to add 1 food to the supply, because it's keeping the mice away, so we're not losing food for that. But the problem is, depending on the players, we're going to have to remove food cards. So basically the food cards are these guys. So depending on the players, we're removing them from the game. Yes, for the remainder of the game, we're always going to add a food token to the colony, because it says there that you're going to add 1 food supply. So you're always going to add food supplies from the sounds of it. Colony, he keeps the mice away, add 1 food supply. Oh no, he adds 1 food supply. So that's pretty good. So it adds a food supply. So it's not bad, but you have to be at the colony. Option 2. No, but that's, sorry guys. You can always add, every time it's going to be this player's turn, they're always going to add, because it does say at the beginning of the colony phase if Sherlock is at the colony. So basically there's always going to be adding. So at the colony phase, for every time a player goes, you're going to just add a food supply. I'm sorry, I almost read that wrong. So much text there. So basically every time there's going to be the colony phase, you're going to just basically add a food supply there. So that's very, very good. And then option 2 is scat, nothing happens. So you can remove food to basically start adding food every time there's a colony phase. But if not, then you're basically just going to just not do anything about it, and nothing's going to happen. And then there's an alternative. So if Alexis Gray or Emma Hahn, which Alexis Gray is this character right here, is at the library, the cat recognizes the familiar face and races to her, circling and rubbing her legs. Sherlock equip this card to Alexis Emma at the beginning of the colony phase. If Sherlock is at the colony, he keeps the mice out of the food. Add 1 food to the supply. Sparky doesn't affect this this card of Sherlock. So basically, now that she's going to be here, and now we're going to basically be adding the food. If Sparky and her were together, nothing happens. So it's actually a pretty good card. So when it comes to this, I'm going to say Sherlock is going to be my second favorite. So basically, this is the order of how I like these cards. So basically, Denzil Dilemma, I don't like it just for the simple fact that it's always going to be negative with this card. So for a trader purpose, it's always going to be a good card because it's like, oh yeah, let's lose some morale. The more morale they lose, the better it is, so I can win this game. Or you can go with option 1 and lose all the food supply. So with the trader, he's going to be like, maybe I should make them lose the food supply now, because then all of a sudden we're going to lose morale basically on the survivors, because now we're going to have starvation tokens. So that's going to be good. Now we're going to have to add that, so we're going to make the game harder. So for trader element, this is very good. So I would highly recommend that more in the trader element. But in this case, the group I always play with this, we always play basically with co-op. So we're always trying to play hard and we're trying to win. With the other colony, the chances of you seeing it is going to be so hard, because again, I have all these character cards. So the chances of me seeing that, I'm probably never going to see it. Like, probably this is the first time I read this. I think it is, because I never get to see this. Or if it does get to be played into the game, it's just like nobody's going to see it. So it's not that great. It is good because you can distribute characters and then you're going to get more dice based on that. So that's good. But the chances are, the more characters you have, the more harder it is. So if you have the long night on top of this, all of this I have with this, it's going to just be more and more harder to see this card actually activate. So activating this card, never going to happen for my games. As for board games, if it's a double-edged sword, you can either gain a morale or lose a morale. So it's pretty good. It's not bad. You roll one of these, and if your chance, see, there I gain morale. So it's really, really good. I don't think anybody will select option 2 unless they're too afraid of losing morale, because if you're at 1, there's a 50-50 chance, and well, not a 50, there's a 60-40 chance. So it's like, it's pretty tough, but normally everybody will always choose option 1. As for Sherlock is actually good, because in the colony phase, you're always going to add an extra food. So that's less food you had to go find to add to the food supply. So that's actually pretty good. And if you had Alexis in play, and that wasn't equipped to her, basically Sparky will never bug the card Sherlock. So you will always add food supplies as long as she stays in the colony. Or if you had Emma, Emma, right? Emma Hahn, which I don't have, so I can't show you guys how that one looks, but she's in the long night. And then lastly, the fourth wall. Changing this is amazing. This is by far the best card in this. This actually will change the game for you, because this kind of makes the game easier when it comes to moving. So in this case, this is the order of how I like them. Do I recommend this? Can you still get them now? Yes, I highly do kind of recommend these, because the simple fact is they're $5 in the Board Game Geek store. So you can get them. You can support the Board Game Geek store by getting these, and they're still available. I'll leave a link below so you guys can see them and purchase it for yourself if you want it. But if you guys already have it, then good for you guys. But the chances of you seeing all these 5 crossroad cards, and basically this is just me saying this is the base game and some of my promo crossroad cards, the chances are you're not really going to see it, because it's going to be a lot of cards basically in here. So I do highly recommend getting this, but if you guys do have everything for the game and you don't have the promos, and especially these, I will kind of look into it to getting it, because the fourth wall is the best card in here. I mean, Sherlock is really good. Board Games is really good. The other colony, the more card, if you just have this, then I just recommend it for that, because other than that, if you have the other, you're not going to see it. And for trader purposes, this card is really good. So yes, I do highly recommend them. They're still available, like I said, in the BGG store. But let me know in the comments below, do you guys believe that the BGG crossroad cards should you get them, I should say. Should you get them? Should you purchase this? Let everybody know in the comments below. But with that being said, I got a special thanks for you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.